Hello friends. Well, my name is Sunil Ranjan and I am an English teacher. Now here I have come up with a poem So Very Far by Muktibodh, whose full name is Gajanan Madhav Muktibodh. So, first telling you about Muktibodh. Gajanan Madhav Muktibodh was one of the most prominent Hindi poets, essayists, literary and political critic and fiction writers of the 20th century. He was born on 13th November 1917 in Shivpur, Madhya Pradesh. He was one of the 7 poets included in the first volume of Tar Saptak, a series of anthologies published in 1943, which marked a transition in Hindi literature from the prevalent Chayavad movement. This led to the beginning of Prayogvad or experimentalism in Hindi poetry and developing along with Pragativad or progressivism and eventually led to the creation of the Nai Kahani or new story movement that came to be known as modernism. Muktibodh is widely considered one of the pioneers of modern poetry in India and a greatly respected figure in Hindi poetry after Suryakant Tripathi Nirala. He was a pioneer of Prayogvad or experimentalism movement of Hindi literature that marked the culmination of this literary movement and its evolution into the Nai Kahani and Nai Kavita in 1950s. His presence was equally important in the rise of new criticism in Indian literature. Brahma Rakshas is considered to be his most influential work in experimental poems. His writing was deeply influenced by his viewpoints of Marxism, socialism, and existentialism. He, along with writers like Yashpal, continued his ideological fight against modernist and formalist trends in the literature. His complete works in 6 volumes were published in 1980 as Muktibodh Rachnavali. He died on 11th September 1964. Now coming to the text. So here I begin. I am so very far from you people. My fires are so very different from yours. That what's poison for you is food for me. Multitudes walk with me in my isolation. Now the explanation is the poem begins in first person singular with the pronoun I. The speaker or the poet says that he is very far from his people. He acknowledges that his mindset and imaginative power is very different from the people he addresses. He says that what seems bad to them is his choice and is food for him. He says that many like him stay in isolation and are away from others. Now, the lines that follow are, in my loneliness, friendly hands of those you despise but caught by my troubled soul and held precious there, and that's why you rain your blows on me in public and in private. Now the explanation goes, he further says that when he is alone, he looks at his hands that are always friendly and extend to all, but when such friendliness is not understood, his soul is deeply hurt and troubled when others don't appreciate his valuable helping hand and the priceless human instinct of cooperation. Whether in public or in private, he is ridiculed and condemned for what he does. Now coming to the lines, leaves of our blood-stained epics fly. I covered myself with failure trash, finding heaps on the spiral staircase of corruption and cash. And though I have gone straight, I'm still bitter in what I do, hate the poison. Now the explanation is, now the poet speaks of the world-famous blood-stained epics, whose pages speak of wars and large-scale violence and death only. The poet feels disturbed to the point of immense emotional torture when he says that he finds corruption and the transfer of case from top to bottom and the transfer of cash from top to bottom everywhere around him. He says that he had chosen to remain fair by going straight in his dealings, But when he notices the unfair ways and means and underhand dealings, he feels very disturbed, as such things are poison to him. Now coming to the lines, for whatever one has, one wants something better. To sweep the whole world clean, you need a scavenger, and I'm not him. And though someone inside me roars each day that no work is unclean if the man be true, the work's still grim. Now the explanation of these lines is the poet feels deeply pained when he sees people greedily hankering for more and more. In an interesting tone with a powerful blend of dark humor and light-heartedness, he goes ahead by saying that in order to sweep the whole world clean of such unfair dealings happening in society, there was the need of a scavenger. But then he says that he is not the one to do so. He admits that his true self, his conscience, rebels against such things every day, that a person could do that if he is true to his self. But then he says that such a task is indeed very difficult to perform. Now, coming to the lines again, beyond the world and its end products, refrigerators, vitamins, radiograms, there's my famished daughter, in her intestines a gnawing nothing, in her lungs the shame of those who have nothing. Only sufferings imprisoned by the nothings is true. Now the explanation goes, the poet comes here with his observation of things around and his philosophy resulting from it. He says that physical or material requirements such as refrigerators, medicines, vitamins, audio systems such as radiograms do help humans to have a smooth flow of life. But there are other things too that require attention of the people. He speaks of his daughter who remains deeply hurt, and there is pain in her lungs and intestines at the wretchedness of human life when she sees the pain and suffering of people all around. She feels ashamed of human civilization that has left such human lot with nothing except pain and suffering only. Now, coming to the lines again, the lines of the poem, all else is unreal, untrue, a delusion, deceit. The only truth is a sequence of grief. I am the split-eared, the underground wretch correcting disorders under your chivalrous and dodges one. Stretch, oil-covered, black, bowed by your orders. Now the explanation is, feeling greatly disturbed to see the pathetic human suffering and pain and the wretched state of human survival, the poet gives way to his inner fire by saying that everything is unreal, untrue, and is an illusion, a cheating on the people, and the only thing that happens to be real and naked truth is a sequence of sorrow and pain in the lives of such poor and sidelined people who have nothing to feel happy about. As the poet witnesses such a miserable state of human survival with nothing in their life, he feels as if his ears don't want to hear such painful cries anymore, and they have split. He even thinks of going underground for a noble cause, the raising of the level of human life, checking the wrongs and setting them right in a society that continues to be dominated by the rich, who move in their expensive cars, the chivalrous and dodges one at the cost of the poor, the marginalized section of human society who are left to live a wretched life. The poet says that he will no more continue to receive orders from the rich who exploit the poor. He will no more lie oil-covered and black, following the orders and suffering the pathetic state of human exploitation at the hands of the rich. Well, this poem is a strong social commentary on the exploitation of the poor by the rich. The poet points at the pathetic and miserable state of the poor, the marginalized section of human society who helplessly see the chivalrous and dodges of the rich rolling in and rolling out, as if laughing at the state of affairs managed by the authorities that run the system. So friends, here I come to the end of the explanation of the poem, and if you choose to subscribe to my channel, I promise that I'll be coming up with quality videos for you from time to time. Thank you.